Welcome to the Sanity Project Podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanne Victoria with another amazing episode of the Sanity Project Podcast. You're here to discover a life of clarity, confidence, sanity, and entrepreneurial success. And you're going to be real happy with our guest today. Our guest is Rachel Southard. Is that the correct?
Rachel Southard.
Southard. Well, you know, not being from Texas myself. So Rachel Southard is in charge of this huge company. She joined Threshold Brands in June 2021 as the president of Men in Kilts, and that's a story she's going to tell you. And she was recently appointed brand president of Emerging Brands, leading 3 of the 9 brands in the portfolio. Prior to joining Threshold, she worked for Self-Esteem Brands for over 10 years, leading operations for Anytime Fitness franchise, a $1.5 billion global operation with over 4,000 locations worldwide. Throughout her career, Rachel has been passionate about creating innovative customer experiences that help companies grow. So how do you help companies grow, Rachel?
Wow. Well, my passion, as you mentioned, Joanne, is really in customer experiences. And I know that is super broad, but where, experience-driven companies grow revenue faster. So where there's that sweet spot between digital and physical experiences and companies that really focus on solving that pain point for consumers in a really unique way, they're going to grow faster. And that's where my sweet spot is finding those opportunities to create those amazing customer experiences and bring them to life.
And what made you turn to the franchise world?
I love telling this story. My first job when I was 16 years old was working in the daycare of a women's fitness center. And it was working for a multi-unit franchisee. I didn't realize at the time when I was 16 that I was working in franchising, but I worked for that franchise owner for about 10 years.
Wow.
I stayed with that organization. I moved up in the fitness center and, from the daycare into teaching classes and personal training and managing gyms. I really grew into a fitness career out of that, which is how I ended up being on the franchisor side of Anytime Fitness. So then, 10 years at Anytime Fitness. So I just very organically grew up in franchising. Definitely wasn't something I had planned.
Aren't you lucky?
I am. And I just, you look back and like I said, I didn't even realize it until later in my career that, there's such great experiences you get on both sides, working for a franchisee and working for a franchisor, and the passion and love that people have for franchising, that work in franchising, just, helping people realize their own American dream and a little bit of a shortcut. It's still a lot of hard work, but you've got the playbook made for you. So franchising is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think franchising is great, and people are going to say, Joanne, how could you say that? You're an entrepreneur. Well, I'm also practical. And I looked at your resume and your form that you filled out, and I thought, well, this is really important because it's difficult to start a business anytime. Mm-hmm. Today, it's worse than ever, if you want to say that. And to know that you're a step ahead by having the book, as you say, the book is in front of you. And the book has seen a lot of brands, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing, franchising is not, you will not succeed in franchising if you're not an entrepreneur. If you don't have that drive inside of you and that, the the determination to make it successful. It may be a little bit of a shortcut, but it's not necessarily an easier path by any means. Yes, you can get there faster because we have the playbook for you and it's proven, and you don't have to figure out these things or find these vendors and figure out how to do these things. We've done that for you, but you absolutely have to have that entrepreneurial mindset to be successful in franchising.
And you came from, as you said before, you came from Anytime Franchise, which Anytime Fitness franchise, to Threshold Brands. Why did you leave Anytime Fitness?
Yeah, Anytime Fitness was also, when I started with Anytime Fitness, there were a few hundred locations. I had 500 to 700 locations. So still very mature brand. We were just signing our first master franchise agreement in Australia. So expanding internationally. That was when I started. 10 years later, when I left, over 4,000 locations worldwide, over 32 countries at the time. They've continued to grow since I've left. I was really excited to do that again. All of those learnings that I took in that 10 years to start with a franchisor that had a few hundred locations and grew to thousands of locations and really became number one in the space while maintaining a solid culture, an amazing culture with that brand between franchisor and franchisees. I wanted to do it again. I wanted to find another small emerging brand that I can, take all those learnings and apply it and help a brand grow. And that's what attracted me to Threshold.
Smart move. Well,
smart and fun.
What were you going to say?
I said smart and fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Good. Well, you know what you're doing now, if I can say that. It takes several years. People don't realize, I'm going to open a business. Okay. And then they go and they fail and they walk away 3 years later or something like that, 2 years later. And they don't realize that there's an investment to be made in anything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially women. You can't just flounce around and think everything is going to be okay. You have to be serious, but have a sense of humor along the way. I think those are two criteria. I don't know if they're on your list about, how women can, take charge of their career in a male-dominated world, but
it is. It's about that unwavering confidence. You need to know what you want and be very secure in what you want so you can go after it. If you're wishy-washy on what the goal is, then it's really hard to know what you're fighting for. So you have to be really clear with that, with yourself,
So it says here that you joined in Threshold in June 2021 as brand president of Men in Kilts. Now, why don't you describe to our audience what Men in Kilts is before they have some fainting spells?
I'm sure they're all Googling it now.
Yes.
So Men in Kilts is an exterior home cleaning service. And Men in Kilts is one of 9 brands in the Threshold portfolio. All of our brands in Threshold Brands is really a curated group of home services franchises. So we've got, plumbing franchises and installation and grout cleaning and garage coating. We have 9 different brands. Men in Kilts is our exterior home cleaning. We do window cleaning, gutter cleaning, pressure washing, house washing, siding washing. And our technicians do this cleaning while wearing a kilt.
Well, I think the kilt part is amazing, but I also think the service part is amazing because to find somebody to do these little things that add up, of course, is difficult. They say, okay, just go check online and so on and so forth, and you'll find it, but you don't know if they're experienced. You don't know if you can trust them, especially since everybody is in this, what's the word I'm looking for? They want to be self-employed.
Yeah.
Independent work.
Yeah. It's so true. So 90% of our franchisees' competitors are those independents. It's just a guy woke up one day and said, I'm going to buy a power washer and start a power washing business. And that's one of the beauties about, again, the shortcut in franchising is when we say we've built the playbook, we've built the training on how to provide an amazing customer experience. Because in today's world, in today's businesses, if you don't have, 5-star reviews and validation, customer may find you online, but if you don't have those 5-star reviews or a social media presence where you're constantly showing your work and, like, to your point, building that trust and credibility, you just will struggle growing the business. And, that's one of the beauties of franchising is you've got a support team teaching you exactly how to do that along the way.
Yes. And you have help before you even open the door.
Exactly.
Or answer the phone or however you present your business.
Yeah, exactly.
So how can women take charge of their career in a male-dominated industry? I mean, we talked about the balances of men and women, husbands and wives, and how people purchase these franchises. But how can women, and they don't want to have everything mansplained to them, how can they take charge of their career in a male-dominated industry?
Yeah, I think especially for a woman who's looking to start a business or open a business, again, franchising is another great way to, for a woman to have a shortcut there. And I think it's important to, and whether you're looking to start your own business or you're climbing the ladder, allyship is the most important thing. And finding a company or a brand or even an industry where you're going to have access to allies. I think that's why it's so important to join a company or an organization or open a business that has some diverse leadership and, someone or a team that's really going to advocate for you and stand by you when it's needed. And, building those relationships on trust and consistency and accountability it really should be a focus. So if you're, for us at Min and Kilts and at Threshold Brands, you've got a lot of women in leadership roles in our organization. And I think that's something really important for you to look at when you're thinking of picking a brand. If you're going to go into franchising, who are the leaders of the organization, and are you going to have allies there that are going to have your back?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't have somebody who's going to support you, you've got another huge problem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think authenticity is so important. I think that it is so important for women to feel comfortable to be themselves and not change who they are to try to fit some stereotype of who they think people want them to be. And that's something that's so interesting when you look at female entrepreneurs and, the ones that are really breaking the mold are doing something different no one is doing or no one has done. And they've just, maintained that authenticity of who they are and what the problem they're trying to solve, no matter what people think and what they hear. They're just, that sense of transparency and, taking ownership of, we all mess up. We're all human. And when you make those mistakes, you own it and you stay true to yourself. And that's how you continue to build that trust with folks. Again, whether you're running the business or, working in a corporate situation, that's so important.
So it says here that you lead 3 of the 9 brands in your portfolio. Mm-hmm. What are the others?
Yeah, so the other one is Patio Patrol, which is mosquito, flea, and tick pest management. And then Granite Garage Floors, which is epoxy floor coating. So again, I think in general, home services is pretty male dominated, but I'm garage floors. We're talking about all of my franchisees there are, all of them are men, and even our customers really kind of catered to that, exotic car. I want a nice garage for my exotic car. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting. But one thing that's really fascinating, Joanne, about home services space, most people don't realize, is it's the female of the household who's making these purchase decisions. It's the female of the household who's calling these, contractors or vendors, the plumber or getting the garage floor done. So it's really interesting to run these businesses that are kind of male dominated, but the customer is a woman.
Yeah, I think the woman is always going to wind up making the final decision because the husband goes, "Oh, I want this, I want this." He's the one that's a little squeaky wheel, and somebody's going to complain, and I don't care. But he would say, "I want this, I want this," and she goes, "Yes, yes, let me check it out," and she checks it out 6 days from Sunday.
Exactly.
So she's not going to just check out one service. She's going to check out more than one, and she's going to check out more than one price, and she might pay a higher fee because she wants a better product.
You know what, Joanne, that's exactly it. We know that customers are willing to pay more for a better experience, which is why it is so important for companies to invest in experience.
I'm writing that one down because that's important. People don't realize that the experience is the key, no matter what you're looking for, because you could have the best coach in the world, but if the experience with that coach drives you to drink, it's not going to work.
It's not. No, I mean, people will drive a little further. They'll spend a little more to have a better experience. And I know you can think of, I can think of 10 different, I have a grocery store that's right next to my house, and I probably pass 5 grocery stores on the way to the one that I want to go to because I know I'm going to have the better experience. It's cleaner. The customer service is so great. I'm willing to drive a little further and spend a little more to have that experience.
Now that's important. People don't realize the experience is really what counts. So I had a question. Where'd it go? Where are most of your franchises? Or are they, U.S.?
We're spread out over U.S. and Canada. Out of all of our 9 brands, we have over 250 locations across the U.S. and Canada. 2 of the 9 brands are in Canada. Men & Kilts and Made Pro are the 2 that have a pretty big presence in Canada. And I believe we're in over 45 states now.
So I obviously I'm living here in Seattle, and I don't go out. I don't need anything really that you're selling, but do you have anything available here nearby?
Yeah, we do. I do not have I don't think I have any of the 3 brands that I run. I do not have any franchisees in Seattle. So if anyone is interested in expanding their business opportunities, we would absolutely love to chat with you.
Yeah, I think people who are listening, and I do have some entrepreneurs and people who are sitting on a fence, and they've done this before, not the franchise, but their own business, and they want to do it again, and they just don't know where to go, what to do. Call up Rachel or go to thresholdbrands.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Joanne. You, go ahead.
That's okay. I have to spell things out because sometimes they get screwed up. threshold brands.com, and just write it out as you hear it and see what you're interested in and use your imagination. Now, what's the most important thing for a new person starting a business?
I think the most important thing is to get a mentor, someone who has, done this before, has no, they don't necessarily have skin in the game. They're just here to advise and help and share their experiences. I've learned so much I've had several mentors in my career, and they were there before me. They've done it before, and to learn from their experiences and help avoid don't make the same mistakes that they made. It is so important to, and stretch yourself when you look for a mentor. Get someone who is, someone you think, wow, that person would never be a mentor for me. They're way too important or bigger than me or better than me. Don't cut yourself short, reach for it. Cause I know that, really strong, leaders love to pay it forward and give back and embrace mentorship. So, you can't do this alone.
I don't think you can do anything alone, not and be a real success at it.
No, I agree.
Well, I this is really exciting for anybody who's looking to start a business, to start a new business, and, turns their nose up at a franchise. I would suggest that you straighten yourself out and call Rachel at thresholdbrands.com. Tell her you listen to this podcast and you're curious about franchises, no matter where you live, because I'm sure she's in Europe as well. Yes?
We're not in Europe yet, but we'd still love to talk to you.
Okay. She'll talk to you even if you aren't in Paris yet. That's okay. Well, I want to thank Rachel for being here today because this has been interesting. Thresholdbrands.com, and get yourself a mentor and see what's going to happen with your life. Take it easy, and I'll talk to you soon. See you next time.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project Podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.